and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your NASCAR home. My name is Kyle Robert. I'll be your host at Notorious KRO. With me, as per usual, it's Brian Twining at Greasy Rules 14 on Twitter. Brian, we haven't done one of these in a couple weeks, and obviously with scheduling and stuff, it's been wonky, but we're doing it. We got it in. We're making it happen. We got Daytona. We got the final race of the season. We got your DraftKings picks. We got your best bets. We got your updated betting odds with qualifying in the books. But let's just jump into it and let's talk some DraftKings, and we'll mix in our thoughts as we go along. And I will pull up the window as I air quoted qualifying because of the weather. There was no qualifying, which I think is less.
Hopefully cancels those.
Yeah, it's less than ideal for betting just because we can't see speed and stuff in practice and whatnot. But it still makes up for a fun day. We have some interesting things to divulge into.
Yeah, into it. Super speedways, like qualifying. I mean, how much does it really tell you? I mean, I guess it tells you like who has the top speed alone, but ultimately when you're at Daytona, especially, this is about drafting and running in a pack. So, I mean, qualifying only tells you so much coming into this kind of race.
Yep. And we were kind of going through the numbers a little bit early, but there's going to be a couple drivers who are extremely popular this week. We'll start at the top like we always do. We got 4 guys in the 10K range. Chase Elliott, number 2. Kyle Larson on the pole. Ross Chastain starting 12th. And Ryan Blaney starting 16th, all at 10K. A lot of ways you can go here. Obviously, a dominator is one way, but at super speedways, I like to have as many guys in the back as I can. And I just wait for chaos to happen. But for you in this range, who are you interested in, if anybody?
I'm going to go to the very bottom of that list, and it's got to be Ryan Blaney starting 16th at 10K. I know with the news that Kurt Busch, 2311 removed their waiver, I guess it's called. So as of now, Blaney and Truex would be the last 2 guys in on points. But there does stand the possibility that if we get another winner that outside of anybody that's already clinched, that it's only going to be one of him or Truex. So I do think that Blaney is still going to have to fight for a good finishing position. And he's always done really well at super speedways.
Yeah, I think they're not going to rest on, well, we'll probably both get in, so we'll be fine. Because we've seen weird people win. We've seen unexpected cars finish in first. Obviously, with the mayhem that happens, wild stuff will happen. So, it's not something that anyone's feeling comfortable with. If we were in Richmond or, Vegas or something, it might be a lot more, okay, let's just roll it right around. Let's make this happen and we'll be good. Blaney is interesting. Chastain's an interesting pivot because his form of late is not good. And he is priced at 10-2. But if you hit on him, he has a nice race here. Starting 12, you get not only the movement points, but you get a potential winner. Not a lot of people are going to be there.
I was just going to say, it'll be interesting to see what his roster percentage is.
Yeah. My guess is it's very, very low. And I don't even know if I will be one of those people that are on him there, but if you're building a bunch of lineups, you want a GPP angle, he is an interesting name to go at for this week. We will roll down into the next range where we have Joey Logano starting off at 9,800. Behind him, Tyler Reddick, 97. Denny Hamlin starting 19th at 96 is going to be compelling, I think, for a lot of people, as is Kyle Busch at 94. Rounding out the group will be Daniel Suarez, who's starting 4th, and Martin Truex, who also needs to have a good performance to lock up a playoff spot, starting 13th. As I asked you with the 10K range, who's grabbing your attention, if anybody?
it could be fool's gold, and I could just be like banging my head against the wall based on like performance of this season. But how you don't put Denny Hamlin in your lineup starting 19th at just $9,600
Yep.
would be befuddling to me, considering, I mean, he's kind of the Daytona ringer among active drivers over the last 10 races. He has 2 wins. He's tops and top fives. I mean, he's been really good at this track. And it's hard to just look at, like, when they have bad finishes, you really have to take a deeper dive into why that is. A lot of times it's them getting caught up in wrecks or that just unlucky stuff that you see happen at Daytona all the time.
Yeah.
But in terms of historical numbers, Denny is probably the best at this track among active guys. So, I mean, 9,600, he's starting 19th. Like, this is a dude that's going to run probably inside the top 3 or 4 rows pretty much all day or at each stage.
And I expect us to have a lot of money available, so he seems like an easy start to get to. I will say Truex, who traditionally does not run well at Daytona, starting 13th, a guy who was first after stage 1 and stage 2 when we ran here back in February, started 13th, ended up finishing started 14th, ended up finishing 13th. So his results don't really show how strong he was. Obviously, the new car helped him in that day. We'll see, if it's something you believe that the car is different, which is helping him perform better at this track. He could be somebody much like Ross Chastain, where there's not going to be a lot of people going that way. So if you want to go that way and be different, that's another possible pivot. Keep diving. Chase Briscoe starting 26. We really like to fade Briscoe around here, but he could be an interesting option starting 26th at 8,800. If you want to start Hamlin's Briscoe, I wouldn't fault anyone doing that. Our guy Christopher Bell starting 5th, as I told you before the show, Brian. Our guy who and then my brain is not working anymore. Jacob, I got your Christopher Bell mini helmet sent off to you today.
All right, that's cool.
It should be there early next week. Appreciate you, everybody who entered that contest. Appreciate everybody who watches us each and every week. If we can get to 500 before the end of the season, maybe we can do another giveaway. If we can get to 1,000 by next year, that would be even better. So let's keep that. Let's just keep it rolling and appreciate everybody who has been along for the ride thus far. Austin Cindric starting 14th is kind of interesting. 8,500. William Byron 84 at starting 17th. Alex Bowman starting 10th. No, thank you. Kevin Harvick rounds out the 8K range. Who is jumping out to you from here?
I mean, it's hard to ignore what Cindric did at the 500. He was pretty good at Talladega. He's just been fast at these kind of tracks. Ford in general has been really good at these types of tracks this season. So I do think that Cindric starting 14th, he seems to be priced up a little bit, maybe not at the, I prefer his salary to be a little bit less, but the guy who really is intriguing to me has got to be William Byron. You got to expect him to get back on track at some point. I mean, he's won top 10 in the last 17 races coming into the weekend. Like that doesn't sound right for him. And starting 17th, 8,400, he always has speed. He's a Hendrick driver. I mean, all those cars do. So, I mean, I feel like he's probably the best bet to pop out of this particular range.
No, I think that makes sense. Harvick is a guy I like, but I don't expect, for a guy starting 7th, I'm probably just not getting there. The next range is where we get a little fun. And I think Bubba Wallace leads off 7,800. He is going to be the chalkiest chalker driver. And you're probably still going to want him. He's starting 30th. He's going to finish strong. If you're building a bunch of lineups, good guy to leave out because a lot of people are going to go to him. And if he crashes, you're going to wipe out 70% of the field in GPPs, maybe 80% of the field in GPPs. So if you want to be, contrarian, that he's the guy to avoid, but it's going to be really hard to do that with his relative success here. Nice runs at super speedways, and just starting 30th is just insane.
Yeah, real quick before we move forward with this Ranger, like just a good telling point of how much Bubba Wallace is going to be rostered this week is the fact that I know we're going to go into betting later, but Bubba's numbers are still around that 13-1, 12-1, putting him like right near the top of the board to win this race, even while starting where he is. That just shows you how strong he is at super speedways.
Yeah, and we talked about it on Wednesday. Books know that carnage is going to happen. The field's going to be flipped on its head 4 times, so they don't really care where you start. They're just more worried about guys they think can actually win this race. So
yeah,
he is in that cluster. Beyond him in the 7K, we got Chris Busch starting 8th, Ty Gibbs starting 23rd. It's kind of fun at 7,500. Michael McDowell starting 9th, Brad K 7,200. I know you don't like him, but my God, starting 24th is going to be a compelling option, as is Austin Dillon starting 21st at 7K. This range, you could literally start with 3 of those names and build the rest of your lineups around it. And I think you'll be very happy with how they come out.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give that to you. Keselowski, over the last like 3 segments of the Daytona 500 was like a top 11 car in terms of speed, according to our buddy over at iFantasy Race. Ty Gibbs, I think, is a really intriguing driver to have in lineups this week, driving that number 45 car, which we know has speed in it. Gibbs has looked pretty good at super speedways in the Xfinity series. I think that he could definitely drive this car near the front of the pack at this particular race and this type of track. Yep. And then Dillon is always somebody who has the potential here, but he just has the worst luck of among drivers in the Cup Series.
Yeah, 100%. But maybe this is the week where his luck turns around. Everybody else is going to crash and he's going to be the one left on the track. The 6K range, once again, extremely compelling. Eric Jones is starting 11th, which you don't love, but at 6,900 might be a way to
still get there for that price.
Yeah, he could finagle him, and honestly could win the race and be one of the guys that spoils Truex and Blaney's day. Right behind him, Eric Almirola is probably one of my favorite options, starting 27th at 6,700. I don't think he's going to kill you. Obviously, got that new contract after seeming like he was going to be like, "Nah, I'm good." So that's interesting, but starting 27th, I could see a top 10 day out of him. So he'll be absolutely somebody you want to have in some lineups. Daniel Hemrick starting 28th. Justin Haley, we like him starting 18th, and then right behind him, Ricky Spinouts starting 20th. Another guy that could outperform his starting position by quite a bit, and then Cole Custer at 15th. So of the 6K range beyond Eric Jones, I mean, is it just the names that I hit on, or are you interested in one guy over another?
I mean, I think all of them make sense, especially where they're starting and the cost. But honestly, a guy like Ricky Stenhouse starting 20th, he has more than enough ability to get inside the top 10 at this race, and he's the cheapest guy among the rest of the crew that I would even consider putting in a lineup. Cole Custer starting 15th is an absolute avoid at all costs. I don't think we're going to see him near the front, but of those guys, I think Stenhouse 20th, 6,200. He saves the most salary, and he has just as good a potential as everyone else.
Yep, I am with you there. We'll dive into the next range. I was just taking a quick peek. I mean, hell, the 5K range has names that I'm excited about. I think we need to build 2 lineups this week, Brian. I just think there's too many compelling names to try and squeeze in. And I'm going to probably empty the clip on this race and hate myself afterwards, but that's okay. Corey LaJoie starting 31st. It looks like he's going to run. Looks like everything's pointing to him going. So he is somebody that performs well, and I don't hate getting to, especially at that price. Ty Dillon is kind of fun. Todd Gilliland at 30, starting 32nd. We talked about him a little bit on Wednesday. I think he's an absolute smash at 5,500. Noah Gregson, David Reagan. We both really liked Harrison Burton, starting 29th.
Yeah, with the Woods brother car, like we saw it with DiBenedetto. He was always somebody to keep an eye on at these tracks. I think Burton is kind of coming into his own and starting 29th at 4,900. That is ridiculous.
And don't be afraid to leave, obviously
a ton of salary this week.
Don't be afraid to leave a chunk of salary. Don't feel like you have to go up. This this track specifically in super speedways, you really want to more guys in the farther the back that you can get, the better you're off you're going to be just with the carnage and the mayhem, and try and mix in a good amount of chalky guys with non-chalky guys, and then obviously with cash and GPP, no kind of what tournament you're entering, but
and
there's
if you're
a
not
lot.
like if you're not like an experienced NASCAR fan and this is like your first time tuning in, don't watch like the first 2 hours of the race, because these guys are going to be moving.
Don't have your DraftKings app open and be upset when it goes from up like $1,000 to down $1,000
exactly
in the blink of an eye.
Yeah,
because that will happen. So the way I usually do it is I wait till the race is completely over and then check it. Maybe if I last 10 laps if I want to get real dangerous, but other people like to watch it and watch the mayhem, so just know yourself and know what you like to do. But I don't like to watch I feel so much better though when I know that it's like I'm not winning anything, and I win $60 as opposed to winning 1,000, winning 1,000, winning 1,000, winning $60.
and
like I won the same amount at the end of the day, but like
you could have won so much more. That's the
All right, let's build a lineup, and I'll give you the honors. Who is the first name going into our lineup?
I'm gonna be true to my guns here. Bubba Wallace. We're gonna jump all the way down the board.
Where was he?
Starting 30th. I think he's like 7,800.
Yep. Yep. There he is, 7,800. I'm
gonna bite the bullet and roster the most rostered guy, and of course you're gonna go to.
And I'm going Keselowski. I don't care.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's real gross, but I'm trying to win money, so let's go. Who is next?
I think I'm gonna go with Harrison Burton, starting 29th. 4,800, I think it is. Definitely going a different direction this week. We're not going down the board, but
guess what I'm gonna do, Brian? I'm gonna keep it nice and filthy. Todd Gilliland, let's go.
Oh my god. This has got to be the worst lineup ever.
Oh, but it's the best.
It's beautiful though.
I mean, we can go up and get your guy if you want to feel a little safer.
Oh man, then I feel like that's too chalky. You know what? Okay. I'm going to go back to the other guy I talked about who I really think could show up big here. And that's the guy driving the 45 car, Ty Gibbs, at $7,500.
Let's do it.
I just think that he's too talented to kind of avoid at that starting position in that car this weekend.
Yeah. Yep. Man. Oh, rock solid. Almirola. Starting 27th, 6,700. We're leaving 10K on the table, and I don't give one flying.
No. What's crazy is, it's quite honestly, at this kind of race, this could be the winning lineup. Like, you're just being so different from everyone else.
Yeah, Rotodoc will share a lot of winning lineups at super speedways, and it's always like the grossest lineup you can put together. And
yeah, because
everyone sees these values on these elite drivers, and they're like, give it to me, give me the candy. And it's not the people you want. So we're going to roll with this.
I was just going to say, and oftentimes what winds up happening when you have those elite guys, because they're all running like in the top 10 to 12 guys near the end of the race, half of those guys wind up getting crashed out because they're all going for the win. And then those guys that are running behind them are the ones that wind up finishing in the top 10, in the top 15. And that's
even if it means going backwards on the track to get that top 3. All right, we're going to do it again.
Exactly.
We're going to start again.
All right, you take the lead on this one.
I will take the lead, and I'm not going to put in Keselowski because I want to mix it up. Bubba might be the person we need, so if we go there, we can. I'm going to go Recchi Spinout, 6,200. I think he has legit top 5 upside this week. I think he can actually win the race. And even so, starting at 20th, I he is dangerous. There is a lot that could go wrong with him, but I'm happy to take the gamble in this lineup.
All right. I mean, we're going to stick right in this little group that you're in right there. And I think this is going to be quite a contrarian play because of where he's starting the race. But we're going to go Eric Jones starting 11th at 6,900. Is that exactly what you were thinking?
That was going to be my next pick.
We've been doing this show.
We've been doing this way too long. Get out of my head. That is a great pick. I love it.
But it's interesting because, you think normally Jones would be a guy that has like a high roster percentage because he's starting like near the 20th position, but starting 11th, I don't know if
No,
a lot of people are going to get on him.
keep some people off of him, and he could still best that
Yep.
starting position. I'm going to stay in this range. I'm going to go Justin Haley, starting 18th. I like him a lot this week. He's another guy that's starting a little farther forward than I think many people might be a little more comfortable finding a way to get him in your lineup. I still think he has, top 10 potential if everything clicks. And at 6,400, I think he makes a ton of sense.
All right, we're going to go back to the very top. Ryan Blaney.
Do it.
10K. Starting 16th. I think there's a good chance he's running near the top 5.
Yep.
Come checkered.
Yep. I'm backing it up with Denny Hamlin. Starting 19th. I know we're spending more money this time, but that's okay. I think these two guys are absolute smashes starting where they are at their salaries. And there's so much you can do around them that if you're building 3 or 4 lineups this week, starting with those two guys, and kind of building in the back 4 behind them isn't the worst strategy. Obviously, maybe do 2 lineups with both of them, 1 lineup with one of them, 1 lineup with the other, and kind of mix it up just because carnage will happen. But I think they both have tremendous potential. And at their salaries, where they're starting, where they can finish, as you mentioned, by stage 2 or stage 3, they could easily be in the top 3 or 4 drivers. So I think they're absolute smashes. We can go to Bubba, who makes a hell of a lot of sense at 7,800. Or we can kind of divvy off the path. Cindric's interesting. We do have quite a bit of mid-pack guys, so we may want to go.
That's the guy I was thinking is Ty Dillon.
Let's do it.
Starting 25th. He's like 5,200 or something.
Yeah, 5,700. So we're only leaving 5K on the table this time instead of 10K. So, I mean.
Dude, he finished 11th at the Daytona 500 earlier this year. Back in 2020, when he was still racing in the Cup Series, he finished 22nd at Daytona and Talladega in the summer. He finished 12th there. I mean, he has a good history at super speedways. He has a top 5 back in 2019 at Daytona. So I do think that there's a good shot that this dude, pops here somewhere at some point.
Yeah. I like Justin Haley, but I think because we have so many mid-pack guys, 16 and 11, I'm going to mix it up. I want to go farther back. Almirola is really tempting. I like him quite a bit this week. Brad K is kind of fun. I know you hate him, so I kind of want to put him in just for that. Bubba's interesting. Let's just go Almirola. I expect a top 10 day from him starting 27th. I think he'll be rock solid, and those movement points are critical. So I trust Almirola more. He's starting 11 spots farther back or 9 spots, still leaving 5K on the table. I think that those are the kinds of things you should be considering when building lineups. Like, make sure that you're loading up the back as much as possible. It should be at most 1 guy starting in the top 10, 2 guys starting kind of 10 to 20, and then the rest of your guys really 20 and beyond. We're finagling the rules a little bit because we believe Blaney and Hamlin have the elite upside. So that's kind of why
and also too, this is a lot different of like a race because they didn't actually run qualifying because these guys would not be starting in these particular positions.
Correct. Yeah. So we'll take our candy and go eat it. So
yeah,
I will save this lineup as well. We have a couple lineups. I will enter these. We'll review them obviously next week. We'll also review our betting card and we'll review our season-long bets to see how we did. I know we had a couple of those cash already. We'll have to track them down. Let's go review the updated odds as of Saturday night. Not a ton of movement, both because of what we've talked about, Brian, with the expectation of this where you start on the grid doesn't really matter, and the lack of qualifying to really drive some of these numbers this way or that way. But we can kind of run through it just to kind of make sure our heads are in the right spot. Let me give the people just a real quick update of where we're at. So I have 2 outrights on the card. I have Ricky Spinouts at 30 to 1 for half unit and Eric Jones at 35 to 1. a half unit. I will probably add 1 or 2 more just because it's the final race of the year. It's a true, crapshoot when it comes to outrights, and I want to try and hit one. So Brian's outrights are Bubba at 12, Christopher Bell at 25, Eric Jones at 35, Christopher Buescher at 35, and Michael McDowell at 40. So let's go back to the outrights. Let's see if we want to add. So Chase Elliott, 10, 11, fine. Probably not betting it. Ryan Blaney, 12, fine. Probably not betting it. Denny Hamlin, 12, fine. Probably not betting it. I could do this all day. I think Bubba is, we talked a little bit about, we're both excited. If you can get that 13 at PointsBet, I think it's fun. Hamlin's also a great option. Both are starting in the back. Don't care. I wish we were getting a little bit of a discount, but that's okay. Are you going to add anyone else from this range, or should we just keep moving?
No. Especially with the grid being set based on points, not them qualifying. So, right. I mean, there's nothing that has changed my mind for who I like coming into the race.
Yep. Byron, Larson, Chastain, Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch isn't terrible. Ran well last time we were here. Is in a weird spot. Doesn't really know what he's going to do next year unless he does, and they just haven't announced the formal, departure from the team. There's a lot going on. It's an easy move for JGR to go put Ty Gibbs in and Kyle Busch to go race for his brother's team, and a lot of finagling can go. So I think we'll have a fun discussion, next February, Brian, as people have found new seats for the year and we're getting ready for Daytona again. But I think as of this week, it's fine. Cindric's another name that I'm also happy, especially if I can get that 20 at Bet Rivers. I think he's interesting. We talked about his speed. BetMGM has it too. I don't love the 15 at DraftKings, but I think if you can get 18 or 20 on Cindric, I'd be happy to do that. Truex, we talked a little bit about him. Not traditionally a guy that runs well here. Obviously needs to perform this week, but did run really well last time he was in this car at this track. So if you believe that the car change made that big of a difference and he's kind of figured it out, a 20-1 is not a worse bet to make. Tyler Reddick, we were really hyped on him, and he's been obviously great most of the year, but it doesn't really trigger me as a super speedway guy. So Brad K, 25-1. Don't hate it.
Honestly, I would hope to get that longer. I mean, he hasn't looked like somebody who could win a race this year.
No, that's fair. And I think he's being priced up like it was last year, not this year, depending on what we've seen. So, yeah, I mean, that's fair. Alex Bowman, no thank you. That 28's fine if you like him, but don't love it.
Suarez's average finish at Daytona is something like 27th, I believe. So, Trackhouse has been fast at times this year, but I just don't see him, like you said with Tyler Reddick. Like, some guys have just the knack for this super speedway racing, and some guys don't.
Yep, we'll have to look at head-to-heads because I think that's a great call on him. Just kind of fading him and fading Chastain, really. Like, it'll probably be the week that they bite us in the ass, but I think it makes sense. Christopher Bell, I'm happy to go to. I'm not going to bet Chase Briscoe on the outrights.
No.
Eric Almirola, 30-1.
I can't see him getting there either. You'd rather just been like a sneaky guy. Like Buescher, he's been somebody who's been running really well coming into this weekend. When you look at his history at Daytona, the numbers are so skewed because of his having to retire early because of the DVP policy. He got DQ'd in the fall race. I think it was last year or the year before. After finishing second in that race. Like, he's really good at super speedways, but the finishing results don't tell the whole story. So 35-1 on him, that's a great number.
Yep. I think that's fair. Although it would be one hell of a story for Almirola to sign his extension and then go out and win the Daytona, of the Coke Zero Sugar 400, and then make it in the playoffs when he was
ridiculous
on his way out. So that would be kind of fun. Recce spinouts, if you can get to 30, I'm happy to do it still. Hell, even 28 is fine. I don't know that I want 25 when there's these good numbers out here, but
Yeah.
if you want a piece of Stenhouse and that's the only place you can get down action, get down. Michael McDowell at 40, I think is good. Is that what you got him at?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like the fact that that number is so high for somebody that's actually won here. I don't. And
Yeah.
he's running really well coming into this weekend.
He is taken a massive step up. He was a guy that was a lot closer to BJ McLeod than the front pack the previous
Hey
years.
man, don't be knocking Mr. McLeod,
But
finisher
no,
of every race.
he's made tremendous strides as a driver. I think obviously the team having more money and investing in the car, I think, has helped too. So Eric Jones, still very happy to have that number. I wouldn't fault anybody who went to that, especially if you can get that. Like, I'm not touching the 24, but if you get it north of 30, you're fine. Ty Gibbs, interesting. Justin Haley's fine. Like, we talked a little bit about him. He was a guy that gained a lot of steam. We're here for the 500, and his number got down to like 35. Grabbing it at
As
50.
we speak right now, Kyle and I are recording this on Friday night. The Xfinity race is still going. Ty Gibbs is running second in the third stage. I mean, he's good at super speedways in Xfinity. I know it's not the same car, but this kid has what it takes to win this type of race.
Yep.
So,
and,
I mean,
and he's
can't
in a
fault you
good
at
ride.
40-1.
Yep. It would be one hell of a story too for him to win this and then be ready to make his Cup debut next year. So
Yep.
I think that makes sense. I don't think we're going to bet outrights on the rest of these guys, so that's fine. Let's go find some head-to-heads because that's where our money is made. Let's go matchups. And these are kind of fun too because you could bet on somebody and their opponent could crash out, and then you're just sitting on free money the rest of the race. So don't hate to see it. This has moved, right? This was like pretty even, I believe. Logano Hamlin when we talked Wednesday.
Yeah, it was. I think it was minus 110.
Yeah. You bet it at you got where I just saw it. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it was like pretty close to pretty even. Bubba and Logano minus 110 at DraftKings, but then minus 126 at FanDuel. So kind of fun. I think I'd rather, if I'm betting Bubba stuff, I'm betting top fives, top threes, and outrights instead of worrying about where Joey Logano is. But if you're all in on Bubba this week, it's not a terrible bet, especially if you get the minus 110. The Battle of the Olds, minus 114 in both spots. Interesting. Hamlin plus 105 versus Elliott, I think, is a good bet. There's just too much shenanigans. Did we both bet that? I think you bet it for sure.
Yeah, I got it at plus. Yeah, I took it at the same number.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
got it at
think the numbers
105.
have really moved at all because they didn't
No,
run qualifying.
they don't seem to be. Harvick versus Bell is kind of fun. I kind of like Kevin Harvick. Kyle Busch at plus money against Kyle Larson. Kyle Busch versus Ross Chastain isn't terrible. I was hoping that more would pop up though, and we could get some action.
Yeah, I almost feel like the books know that these kinds of races are so wishy-washy with how the finishing results wind up. So
Yeah.
they almost didn't want to expose themselves to too many, advantageous wagers by bettors.
Yep. Looking at our cards right now, I have Truex over Blaney at the plus 120. I think it's a good number. Like I said, anytime you can get that kind of value, it's fun. The Battle of the Erics. I think I'm going to add the Battle of the Erics just because it's plus 105, and I think it's a good value. If I think a guy can win the race, I'm going to add it. I obviously think Almirola is going to be rock solid, and I expect him to finish strongly, but and I'm going to take
We
Almirola over
also
Dillon.
really like Eric Jones.
Yes, exactly. I'm taking Almirola over Dillon just because I trust Almirola to keep his car on the track, which turns out is a big part of these head-to-head bets. And I know it's minus 114, but that's okay. I will take that. Let's see here. And then I will take that. Byron versus Larson. Reddick versus Truex. Truex, a guy that traditionally doesn't do well. It's good, kind of interesting. Eric Jones fade the Chase Briscoe. Alex Bowman versus Dan. Oh, man, what did we talk about, Brian? Daniel Suarez does not finish strongly here. I will take Bowman over Suarez.
I can't believe you're gonna go back to Bowman though.
Yeah, I'm a glutton.
burned
I'm a
you.
glutton for punishment. What can I say? What can I say? Christopher Buescher plus 105 versus Bubba. That is not terrible.
I mean, that's a good number, especially at a super speedway. I know Bubba's really good here, but
I'm gonna go old Ty Gibbs over Michael McDowell.
how dare you? Okay, just to go back to Daniel Suarez real quick. His last 10 trips to Daytona, his best finish is 17th. And 8 of the 10, he's been involved in a crash and didn't finish the entire race.
Fade Daniel Suarez in full effect. I'm sorry, Daniel. I don't want to do it to you. You want to do it to yourself.
And also, he's only completed every lap one time over the last 10, and that was back in 2017. Mind
Smash.
you, at the last year's fall race, and it looks like the fall race, so this particular race back in 2020, or the second race back in 2020, he crashed near the back end of the race.
Yep. 100% on board. Looking for any top 10 bets that may make things interesting. I don't really think.
You mean bets that we haven't already made?
Yeah, I mean, let's just run through the card because the card is loaded this week. Brian and I have gotten far too aggressive, but it's the last race of the season. I think we have more bets on the card this week than we made like the last 3 or 4 races combined.
I think you're right.
All right, so my betting card: Ricky Stenhouse, Eric Jones. I want to add another outright, but I don't know if I'm going to. I'll tweet it out in the morning if I find anything that I'm so compelled to add. Almirola top 10 is my best bet from Wednesday. I still love that bet. Plus 130. If you can get that, it's a smash for me. Eric Jones top 10 plus 160. Michael McDowell top 10. I'm not out on Michael McDowell. I'm just taking the candy with Ty Gibbs. Harrison Burton top 10 at plus 550 is fun. Todd Gilliland top 10 at plus 650 is fun. We went Eric Jones top Chevy at 18-1. Would be a really nice payday if I can parlay an Eric Jones outright and top Chevy. My God, I'm gonna throw a pizza party. Denny Hamlin over Chase Elliott plus 105. Truex over Blaney at plus 120. I went Christopher Bell top Toyota for the vibes at plus 650. We're gonna cancel these bets considering there was no poll. Those did not happen. So if there had been obviously if there had been qualifying, we would have hopefully counted those. But of course, the week we go in on qualifying bets is the week that we're not going to have them this week.
I think that was the second time this year I've actually wagered on qualifying, and of course,
and the 2 times there's been no qualifying. Eric over Eric plus 105. Almirola over Dylan minus 114. Bowman over Suarez on the Daniel Suarez hasn't done well at Daytona principle minus 105. And Ty Gibbs minus the 108. Brian, we'll take this off the card. Break down your card for the fine folks at home, and when you're all done with that, give me your best bet for the race on Saturday night.
All right, so I have 5 outrights. I added earlier in the week, and I don't think I'm going to add any more. Bubba Wallace 12-1, still that same number. Christopher Bell 25-1. Eric Jones 35-1. My boy Chris Buescher, who thank goodness we finally learned how to say his name correctly over these last couple of years.
It only took us 2 years, but we got there.
And then Michael McDowell 40-1. to the top 10 market. Busher, Jones, and McDowell, all the top 10, all at decent plus money numbers. Harrison Burton, just like Kyle, at plus 550 to top 10. Michael McDowell to top 5 at 7-1, which is a tremendous value. And then my best bet from earlier in the week, Bubba Wallace over Joey Logano at minus 110 for a full 5 units. Denny Hamlin over Chase Elliott at plus 105 earlier in the week, down to plus 102. Eric Jones over Eric Almirola. They Eric to Eric. Odds are still the same. Eric Jones top Chevy 18-1, and Christopher Bell top Toyota at plus 650.
Love it.
My best bet going into tomorrow night, and I've thought about this. I'm going to add it again. Denny Hamlin over Chase Elliott. I'm going to add the plus 102 and make that for a 4-unit play. That Denny is going to finish ahead of Elliott, considering Hamlin has far better finishes historically at this track. And when you take out the fact that he was DQ'd at Pocono, has finished ahead of Chase Elliott in the last 3 ovals or high-speed tracks coming into tomorrow.
Look at Brian Twining coming with the facts.
Boom.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Is your text? Oh, okay. There we go. Love where your head's at. I think that makes a hell of a lot of sense. I'm not going 5 units, but just because of the confidence and because of the explanation, I will throw it on the card at plus money. Let's do that. I already have it on here. I'm good. I have it at plus 105. What do I need to do? I'm good. Yeah, I know. I think that makes a lot of sense. As I mentioned, Eric Almirola, top 10, plus 130. I went 3 units. I need to kick it up for my final bet. Man. Oh, I'm gonna stay with Eric Almirola, so he'll probably crash out, but that's okay. I'm taking Almirola over Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon will probably finish in the top 5. Almirola will probably not finish the race, but I trust.
So we know who the folks are fading this week: Eric Jones, Michael McDowell, Eric Almirola, and Denny Hamlin.
Perfect. Just cross them all off your list. Almirola, I expect to be rock solid. I think he has a great performance. He's going to start in the back. He's going to move to the front. He's going to finish like 7th. He's going to get me that top 10.
Finish.
He's going to give me the top 10. He's going to beat Austin Dillon. He's going to lose to Eric Jones, who's going to finish first and get me the outright. He's going to give me the top 10, and he's going to give me the top Chevy. And that bank account is just going to be greens, baby.
Oh, gosh.
So this is our final regular season of the race of the year. We're very excited to have made it. We're happy you guys could join us for the ride. We'll obviously be here for the playoffs. We got your playoff previews. We'll have DraftKings, obviously, and we'll be here through the end of the season, as well as starting next week. We will have our NFL and college pick 'em. Brian and I will have like 3 picks, most NFL, college, combination of both. Just like a quick 20 minutes or so. That'll be in your feed on Thursdays. So if you are enjoying what we're doing, make sure you go check that out. But for Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert. Enjoy the final race of the regular season. We'll see you for the playoffs, and let's cash these bets, y'all. Have a great weekend.